guys. My name's Devon Kane. I'm the writer and director behind Obsession.
I have to admit, that might have been the easiest two films to pair in the whole festival. Like Scissor Sleepover, right? And I mean, two brilliantly funny. Your film is so funny and so smart. And,
Thank you.
And by the way, I thought of a new compliment for you because I think I already emailed you some. But
that's right.
It's that if you had any idea how when a film festival gets like 740 films, there's like 100 that include a podcast, and it's always shitty. It's always, no, you cannot actually, if it weren't for your film, I would say it's impossible to make a good film that involves a podcast within it, because it's the most, and you actually make it so funny.
I really
so
consider
smart.
myself a multimedia director in that way. Well, thank you so much. You know, the podcast, it was always part of the entire script. And it's very thematically on point. Like, it's about, like, true crime and this culture and the pop culture around it. So, you know, to not include a podcast would be criminal. But we actually shot the whole podcast maybe 4 or 5 months prior to the actual principal photography, because I shot the whole podcast to create reels and like production, like promos for my Indiegogo. And so I was like sharing that on my socials to try and get people to be like, I swear this project is going to be cool. Please donate to my Indiegogo. We did raise a good amount of money from it, but it's kind of funny because Rachel, who plays Anna, the lead, you know, she had not acted that scene yet. So it was, and you know, none of us had seen what that was going to look like, or obviously had never seen the cut, so we didn't really know how that was going to feel. So it was interesting having them sort of improvise and have fun. Like, I had written a script out for them, but you know, they're all my friends from the Groundlings, and they're all like very talented improv actors. So we had a lot of fun being like, okay, cool, here's the basic skeleton of info we need to get across. Now, for this to really sound like a podcast, like, let's yap. So, you know, it's just like was such an island from all the rest of the production, but it is turned out to be such perfect bookends, and I really credit that to Devon and Gabby, who played the two podcast hosts. They did a great job.
Right, so you had it scripted, but then you let them improv a bit and just be really natural. Yeah, because it does feel so natural. Mm-hmm. And the humor in that scene, I mean, especially after, when she's on the podcast, and I can't quite remember the line, but something along the lines like, yeah, I feel like he did have trouble committing.
Right, yeah.
Like, still considering him a possible mate.
Yeah, I love the line where she's like, I'll never forget him. And then Devon says, I don't see how you could. And she ad-libbed that, and I was like, damn, I should have written that down. But yeah, that was just so fun, because it was just so fun for them to, like, for us all to be very playful and like have a good time and like kind of be who we are, you know, which is like just bubbly, yappy friends that sometimes get stabbed.
But also there's this really incisive, intelligent, authentic description of people who are attracted to people who are harmful to them.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that subtext, it makes you laugh throughout, but I can't think of a better film about toxic relationships.
Absolutely, and you know, thank you so much for saying that, because it's about more than just, you know, the public's obsession with serial killers and true crime, you know, that's sort of like the larger, sorry, it's a little late on a Friday after work and my brain is not totally here with us, but you know, that's like the larger spoon to feed what the real message to me was, and it was sort of this, you know, I mean, I could go on about dating in LA and how crazy it is for hours, but like, you know, before I met my wonderful loving partner who's in the back with me here, you know, there was kind of the thing that was really on my mind a lot when I was trying to find someone was like, it was so difficult to find anybody who wanted to commit, and it seemed like dating me was horrifying. Like I'm like, what is so scary about dating me that nobody would dare attempt? You know, I was like, I'd be like, oh, we're having a really great time. do you want to be my boyfriend? And they'd be like, I don't. And I'm like, what is wrong? Like, am I a freaking, like, monster? And then I thought, like, what is the best way to portray that? It's like, what is scarier, a serial killer or a woman who really wants to be loved? And it kind of feels like a woman who wants to be loved is really horrifying. And then, you know, kind of coupled with that, I did have a partner in the past, thankfully now, like, who was extremely toxic. But I didn't see it at the time. You know, I was like rose-colored glasses, like this guy's like saying all the right words at all the right times, except for most times, but I make up for those times because he says the right things at the right times, and he's good for me. And all my friends are like, what the fuck are you talking about? This guy's horrible. But you don't see, you know, it's so hard to see. And like, I really feel for those people. You know, I have friends who are dealing with that right now, and it's kind of like, well, it's a canon event. As your friend, I can only tell you the obvious signs, but you kind of have to discover the truth for yourself, because when you're in those relationships, it takes a lot of personal strength to really understand that, like, maybe somebody is not treating you right, and it's really, really difficult to see. And so for Anna, she's in a motel, like a scary-ass motel room on a first date, which is like, what the fuck, like, first sign you're in a bad situation. And then, you know, this serial killer's here, and she's falling in love with him, and it's like, you, the audience, are watching this like, are you kidding me, girl? Like, you are not going to end well. And it's so obvious to us, but it's not obvious to her, and that's really what the story is about to me. It's not obvious to her because she's blinded by her own sort of yearning.
For sure, in the fandom, and I mean, we all know about the people who write letters to serial killers in prison saying,
oh yeah.
I mean, it's, but funny, you also reminded me of him and her reaction to him. And when the woman, who I think was about to smoke crack in the next room, but
she was
when
trying.
she comes in to defend her, and when she sees his face and goes, are you on TV?
Yeah.
Like, I love just the subtle mocking of how much our culture just cares about appearances.
Well, absolutely. Yeah, and it's just us also, like, you know, I have this story of a friend of mine I used to work with, and she had a t-shirt that had all of her favorite serial killers, like, cartoon heads on it. And I was like, girl, that's not Mickey Mouse. Like, these are people that killed people. And a lot of times, I mean, Netflix just has such a voracious appetite for so much true crime stuff that they're doing true crime documentaries about stuff. People are currently mourning the loss of those victims. You know, it's not like this old thing from 1940s Hollywood anymore. You know, it's like, oh, this happened down the street in Phoenix, and this was last year. You know, it's like the entertainment farming of this type of content is, I'm about to rhyme, alarming. Thank you.
Well, think of questions, and I'll ask so start thinking of questions, but I also just want to point out, I talked about the world building for Scissors. I mean, you actually really do, it's very easy to focus on the humor and the message and the subtleties of it, but I also want to praise the direction.
Thank you.
Because it's really easy to miss how
well
directed it is, and that was you. But I mean, you nailed it, and you nailed also the goriness.
Thank you.
You nailed it, and honestly, I love, as much as everyone's laughing, when you have the blood coming out, like everything is done so well that you were just like controlling this audience.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you had them in the palm of your hand.
Well, thank you very much. That means a lot to me to hear that. And I really appreciate you saying that. It was really fun. The gore stuff, I mean, I come from a comedy background, so horror elements, like I've been a fan of horror movies, but I never saw myself as like a horror filmmaker from the start, but it just felt like the story was meant to be told in this type of medium, so I was like, okay, we're gonna do blood, like, how does that happen? So I had a lot of help, and I had a lot of really awesome, knowledgeable friends that, you know, were there on set with me, and We built this set, we built that motel room and shot it on a stage, and that was like my favorite part of the process actually, was like, I mean, to write something down and then build it in the physical world and see walls come up that are walls that you designed and imagined and to walk in that room physically is the craziest feeling. It's like you made Disneyland or something. It's so cool. Highly recommend if you get the opportunity to shoot on your own. It's not as hard as it looks, but it's really hard.
All right, we have a question.
All right, well, first I want to say, one, wonderful.
Thank you.
The shot between when they meet to them being on the bed together,
Yeah.
the fluidity of that was beautiful.
Thank you so much.
It was wonderful. But I was really impressed also by the direction, because how do you, when you were directing, how did you take those actors and say, like, keep it naturalistic, heightened? Like, what was the process for you of sort of keeping it in that tone?
Yeah, absolutely. I want to give credit to my amazing cinematographer, Ariana Hoshino. She is the magic behind those wonderful fluid shots that you spoke about. And she was such a marvel that, like, she could really take the reins on a lot of that and gave me that full access to really spend all the time with my actors, which was awesome. A great thing that we did that I highly recommend if you ever shoot anything with a high amount of choreography like we did rehearsals before we even got to set. And so I did a weekend of rehearsals with them, and just like, at the time I worked at a studio and we had like an empty office, and I just cleared the furniture and I said, hello, you're coming to my work today, and we're gonna work this out, and we're gonna pre-visit, and we're gonna just practice that. So I think that gave them a chance, the actors, to feel really comfortable in their bodies and in their blocking. And when you're not figuring that out the day of, it just frees up so much space in their minds and their hearts to sort of drop into the character. So even if it's the most simple thing, having a rehearsal and feeling secure in your blocking and lines, they will drop in so much easier, and then you can really like play in the moment when you're doing takes. As far as like my specific direction, I mean, it's hard to recall because they're both such great intuitive actors as well. So it was kind of a lot of back and forth and seeing what they would bring to the table. Like Rachel, for example, that's just like what she is like as a person. So it was kind of like, be more Rachel, or be less Rachel in this moment. But yeah, I would say like that was super helpful to me as a director and to the actors, was getting a chance to do a lot of previs and rehearse so that they could feel really solid when we hit record.
Awesome.
Yeah, thank you for asking.
All right, another hand.
Did you already have a relationship with both of them and kind of write it for them, or audition and like?
Well, funny enough, I actually wrote the role of Anna for myself because I had written it originally as a sketch for the Groundlings, and I performed it for my director, and my director hated it. And he was like, this is not a very good sketch. And I was like, you're right, it's a terrible sketch, but it's going to be a really great short film, I promise. And it was way better as a short film. The sketch, it was terrible, you guys. It was really bad. It needed a lot of development, but kind of that being said, when I was like, okay, I kind of want to step 100% into the director role. I don't really want to act, and I don't want to see my face on camera for 7 months of post. So I have one friend who I know will do an amazing job. It's my friend Rachel. If she doesn't want to do this, I will act in it because I don't want to hold auditions for this role. Luckily, she read the script. She's like, oh my God, Devon, please let me do this. And I was like, yay! And then Joe, who played the serial killer Tommy, I did not know. And then Amanda, who played the amazing junkie who came in and like kicked some ass in the middle. She was a great friend of mine of comedy. And she hadn't acted in a minute, I think. She was really in the stand-up game, and I was like, Amanda, I have this crazy role for you. Don't judge me. It's the junkie. It's not don't take it personal, but I think you would be fucking awesome in this role. And she was like, okay, hell yeah. And she was. And it was so fun to work with like sort of a mix of like friends who I knew as actors, friends who sort of were uplifted to be who they are as actors, and then Joe was sort of a acting school connect of Rachel's. We had auditions for the serial killers. We did not. It was scary. You get a lot of scary submissions for serial killer roles. And I was like, I don't know.
Yeah, you should have actually said someone, not a serial killer, just someone who could be on the CW.
Yeah, I realized we needed somebody really hot. And to me, Joe kind of looks like what ChatGPT would conjugate as like a hot guy. That's a compliment to him.
No, this
Yeah.
ironically, this film does make him look kind of appealing.
Good.
Even I'm kind of attracted to him.
Okay, I think he's single, so.
Good. All right, well, we got like a minute. Anyone have a question that'll be a 1 minute answer? Or oh, there we go.
How did you balance scripted and improv comedy?
Yeah, well, the podcast is really the only improvised part. The principal part of the short in the hotel is extremely scripted, and we did not stray from that at all, or else we would, totally go over time, or the cut would be insane, because there's so many really in-depth shots. But for improvising, it was basically like we had 3 cameras, and we had, 2 sort of one-off cameras and 1 wide that was sort of coursing back and forth on a dolly. And we basically just would perform it one time with the script. Then from there, I would kind of see where their natural instincts were, and I'd be like, okay, will you expand on this? Will you rein this in? Can we balance this out? Let's try it again. And then once you do it a few times, you kind of like see where everybody's humor naturally goes, and so then we can play from there. So it's like basically a repetitive game of like, okay, when you play telephone and it just changes and morphs through every year, that's kind of how it goes through every take. And because we had multiple cameras, it was easy to cut in between, because we never had to worry about like, oh God, we got to do that improv again.
Well, excellent film, excellent. I know you've had a great festival run.
Oh, thank you so much.
So congratulations.
Thank you so much for having me.